What are you most looking forward to as police chief?
Most looking forward to meeting the people, and a lot of that's already happened. I've been here 4 days. I've met hundreds of people in the police department, been to 8 roll calls so far, and I'm going to 2 more tonight. And then meeting everybody out in the community. I'm going to attend the St. Patrick's Day Parade this weekend. I'm going to tag along with the homeless outreach team. I'll be visiting the Child Advocacy Center. I've got a ton on my schedule, the Chamber of Commerce, the ACLU, just getting out and meeting everybody in Grand Rapids and hearing from the community, especially to hear what they are expecting out of me and out of the Grand Rapids Police Department.
How important is it for you to build that relationship with the community, build trust with the community?
It's absolutely vital. So we exist for the community. We're here for the community. We wouldn't exist without them, and that's, it's through the city, through the community where we get our legitimacy from. So without that trust, it's a broken system. So it's really #1 priority to make those relationships and to start building that trust.
Is there anything that, as far as building trust with the community, I know meeting with these leaders are important, but is there anything that you want like officers to do while they're on the job and working?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So my whole philosophy with policing is that the police officers on the street, regardless of their assignment, they need to be spending their time doing what's most going to benefit the city that they're serving in a way that's supported by the community. So, a lot of agencies, they have a dedicated community policing office, and everybody else does the police work. But my policing philosophy is that every police officer should be a community policing officer, and that means they're spending their day in the way that's most benefiting the community. Sometimes that's responding to 911 calls. Sometimes it's following up with crime victims, or problem solving with the community, attending community events, taking advantage of opportunities to have engagements with people that's not in a law enforcement situation. Because oftentimes when a police officer, especially in the past, has interacted with a non-police officer, it happens in a time when that person's having a very bad day, or it's a very bad situation. It's memorable for all the wrong reasons. So finding those opportunities and taking advantage of them when you can have a positive interaction with the community is important to me, and it's important to building trust.
What are the main things that you were hoping to implement or improve on here at the department, and is anything specific already in the works?
Well, so we've hit the ground running. We've got, I was in with labor attorneys today talking about negotiations for the contract, which expires at the end of June. That's an immediate priority. The budget is an immediate priority. So there's all these things sort of going around that need to be addressed right away. And they're actually both giving me the opportunity to look and see what sort of things we can improve on right away, whether it's changes to the contract or additions to the budget. One of the things I'm looking at, and I've talked about quite a bit, is transparency. And if we can make sure that the resources are in place to achieve that transparency, it's something that's very important to me. Aside from that, I think it's definitely too early for me to point out any perceived deficiencies. I'm excited to really learn the culture and learn the police department, because I think there are a lot of really exciting things going on. I mentioned that I was tagging along with the homeless outreach team this weekend. I've spoken to the officers from that team, and I'm excited to speak to the individuals from Network 180 and the firefighters that work along with it, and to get out in the community, because it's a really exciting program, and I think something that we should be highlighting, and something that other agencies probably could learn a lot from. So things like that. But as far as exactly what it is I'm going to do moving forward, to start out, I'm going to learn everything I can about the city, everything I can to see what the community wants out of us, and everything I can about the police department before I make any giant changes.
How would you improve accountability and transparency?
Well, again, it's a little bit too early for me to say where the deficiencies are, but I have already made that kind of connection with Brandon Davis from OPA, and I really want to learn about OPA and CAB, the Civilian Appeals Board, and find out how the three of us together can get a more efficient functioning system. And I think part of that is communication. And I think there might be a lot of room for improvement in the communication, whether it's just three of us sitting down and communicating with each other, or the police department providing information to those entities, or those entities providing information to us. So I've already laid the groundwork for those conversations to be had, and I'm excited to have those conversations.
Mm-hmm. How important is the relationship between the police department and the local media?
I think it's one of mutual trust. What I hope from the local media is that the local media just simply reports the truth, treats us fairly, and what I would expect the local media to expect from me is the same.
Would you be open to having maybe more news conferences or just anything along those lines again, that goes along with transparency?
Sure. Yeah, well, I'll tell you and I can't speak to how often Chief Payne met with the media, but my philosophy is if somebody wants to come talk to me, I want to talk to them as well. And that, of course, goes for the media. So I think it would be a rare occurrence for you or anyone else in the media to call and say, hey, we want to talk to you about this, and for me to say, no, that's not happening. So absolutely. How
would you attract officers or people to the department, to join the department?
That's a real challenge, and not just in the Grand Rapids Police Department in Michigan, and really all across the country. There's so many options for employment, and because of what's going on in the past couple of years, a lot of people who maybe tend to look towards policing as a career are thinking that maybe it's not for them. So bringing that back, as far as how we get the talent to come to Grand Rapids, is first you have to take advantage of those opportunities, like reaching out on social media, attending job fairs, and I would like to start visiting military job fairs, talk to the city manager about maybe getting some funding for trips to historically black colleges as we look to improve our diversity in the ranks. But really the foundation is making sure that this police department is a great place for the police officers to work. Word travels fast in the law enforcement community, and once people find out that there's great things going on in Grand Rapids, it's a great city, and the Grand Rapids Police Department is a great place to work, it's going to be easy to fill these seats. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Any other groups that you've met with or talked to, the NAACP, any other leaders of those organizations?
Well, again, it's early for me. I'm actually headed over to the ACLU to meet with them tomorrow and develop that relationship. I have talked to President Clee Jackson, graciously reached out for me. We've already met for about an hour and 45 minutes with him and his leadership team. We actually met before I was sworn in, and really laid a solid foundation for a productive relationship moving forward. Yeah.
Okay. And what's next? I mean, what do the next couple of months look like for you?
Super busy. I want to get out in the community. Fortunately, with COVID, hopefully having less and less of an impact on all of our lives, there'll be more opportunities to have some in-person meetings with neighborhood groups. I'm trying to set those up already. I really want to hear from the residents. I've already got the Chamber of Commerce on my calendar to meet with, Children's Advocacy Center, and really just get out in the community as much as I can to hear from people. Aside from that, other big things, like I said, budget's coming up real soon, and the collective bargaining agreements are going to expire in a couple months, so it's going to be a very busy few months.
How important is it to hear from the feedback, and how will you take that? What will you take away from that feedback, and how will you implement what they're suggesting going forward? That's
a great question, and it's constantly in policing, like what's your metric for success? And of course there's crime statistics is the easy one, because you can just look at the numbers and say, how are we doing compared to last year, and kind of say, oh, I think it's we're down crime 5%, we'll call that a victory. Well, it is a victory, but if the community is not feeling safer, it's really not a victory. So getting the feedback from the community and hearing, hey, we want to know how are we doing? What's the satisfaction that the community is having with the police department? That's incredibly important to really direct our efforts.
What feedback have you been hearing that has really resonated with you?
Well, like I mentioned that before I even started the job, I spent almost 2 hours with the NAACP, and we had talked. Or they had mentioned early on that they had concerns about me as a chief because of my I made a statement that ShotSpotter might be a good idea, and they had strong concerns with that. Of course, I was unaware that they had a very robust conversation about ShotSpotter here. And so during the time that we spoke together, I said, is it the technology? And really what they conveyed to me was more that, there's some areas of the city that if ShotSpotter or some other reason drew police cars to the community, that would be a comfort. And there's other places in the city, when they see police cars coming into the community, it doesn't offer a comfort. So really getting to that point where we have that trust, where when anyone in Grand Rapids sees a police car arriving, that it brings that feeling of safety, and they're happy to see the police. That's where I want to land.